The third edition of the Translation Studies Reader, like the second, offers a substantial revision that takes into account recent developments in the field, as well as the inevitable space limitations for a book of this sort. The existence of previous editions allowed me to omit chapters that I would very much have liked to retain because of their usefulness, but that have had to be omitted to free up space for some exciting new materials. The most salient changes include, first of all, a new, more accurate translation of Walter Benjamin's important essay, The Translator's Task. The translator, Stephen Rendell, has benefited from the mountain of commentary on this piece to perform what can be described as an act of restoration, whereby certain utopian features of Benjamin's argument that had been minimized in the previous version are now given their proper emphases. The third edition also has a new conceptual coherence that makes the reader more friendly to instructors and students. I have emphasized the two models that have dominated thinking about translation since antiquity. The instrumental model, whereby translation is conceived of as the reproduction or transfer of an invariant contained in or caused by the source text, whether its form, its meaning, or its effect. And the hermeneutic model, whereby translation is conceived of as an interpretive act that varies the form, meaning, and effect of the translation according to the receiving situation. Through revisions of the introductory material that precede each chronological section, I have used these models to clarify and comment on the readings. They also inform my new essay in the Reader, which addresses Jerome's letter to Pomachius, the first chapter in the book. In this way, instructors and students will not only have a detailed commentary on Jerome's tremendously influential piece, but an example of how a work of translation theory might be studied in its historical context as well as in relation to current trends and debates. The most dramatic change in the third edition is the creation of a new section that sketches research from the past decade and samples some of the most productive work. The social orientation that came to dominate thinking about translation receives the most attention here. Thus, David Damrosch contributes a chapter on the notion of world literature, or literary translation in our globalized world, although he intriguingly examines the translation of ancient Egyptian poetry in his case study. Sherry Simon explores the role played by translation in a linguistically divided city, in this case Montreal, during the politically tumultuous period of the 1960s, considering how translators functioned as go-betweens between the Francophone and Anglophone sections of the city and inevitably took sides in the conflict. Vicente Rafael takes up the case of the Iraqi interpreters for the U.S. during the Iraqi War, showing how their uncertain, life-endangering status challenges the drive to monolingualism that has been the aim of U.S. language policy since the 18th century through lexicographers and presidents alike. Michael Cronin examines the link between translation and technology, where translation is itself seen as a form of technology or tool from the Middle Ages onward, focusing on how the Internet has transformed the translator's work through the development of collaborative projects like crowdsourcing. Although all these chapters intervene into current trends and debates, they are all historically oriented as well, writing the history of the present in translation studies while resisting the presentism that has prevailed in research. Instead, they show how a historical approach to translation is essential to a critical understanding of its current status and future prospects. What the third edition of the Translation Studies Reader aims to offer, much like its predecessors, is a historical account of the most influential developments as well as a sampling of the latest research. It thus offers instructors and students a means of maintaining their currency in the field.